Not every multi-agent design needs a graph. That is the trap this lesson is about. You see three specialists, so it feels natural to reach for orchestration, nodes, edges, shared state, and branch joins. But sometimes the workflow is much simpler. One coordinator owns the user request. It calls a specialist through a type tool contract. The specialist returns an answer, confidence, and evidence. Then the coordinator decides what to do next. That is agent as tool. It is the lightweight alternative when delegation is real, but the workflow does not deserve a full graph yet. Look at the agent tool contract. It has a name, a description, a set of routing keywords, and a handler. That handler could be a normal Python function. It could also be a model-backed specialist with retrieval, validation, and private steps. The coordinator does not need to know. It should not know. The wrapper is valuable because it keeps the boundary small. The coordinator sends a tool request and receives a tool result. That result has answer text, confidence, and evidence. The evidence field is the part many teams skip. Without evidence, the coordinator can only trust the tool because it sounded confident. With evidence, the coordinator can explain why that tool was selected and what signal came back. The coordinator owns the control flow. That sounds obvious, but it is the main safety rule. In Choose Tools, matching tools are ranked by evidence. Then the coordinator slices the list by max tool calls. That one line prevents quiet fan-out. A request that mentions payment, login, and timeout might match 3 specialists, but the coordinator can decide that only 2 calls are allowed. Every call also creates a tool call audit record. It stores the tool name, the reason, and the result. That gives you a simple trace. What was called, why it was called, and what came back. Agent as tool works best when the work is request response. The specialist receives a bounded question and returns a bounded result. It does not need to keep a long conversation with another specialist. It does not need to pause and resume. It does not need to own the whole workflow. A billing lookup fits, a security risk check fits, a technical log summary fits. The coordinator can call 1 or 2 of these tools, merge the result, and keep responsibility for the user-facing answer. The pattern is especially useful as a first step. It lets you add specialist behavior without committing to a bigger orchestration runtime. The pattern breaks when the control flow becomes the product. If billing must wait for security, and security must wait for technical support, and then a human must approve the merge, you no longer have a simple tool call. You have a workflow. That is when a graph, queue, or state machine starts to make sense. You need explicit steps, retries, joins, checkpoints, and ownership of partial failure. The mistake is using agent as tool to hide a workflow. The wrapper stays small, but the behavior inside becomes impossible to inspect. There are 4 hygiene rules that make this pattern hold up. First, use a schema. The coordinator should know exactly what input the tool accepts and exactly what output comes back. Second, set a timeout. A specialist tool should not be allowed to hang the whole user request. Third, require evidence. A confident answer without evidence is hard to route, merge, or review. Fourth, write the audit record at the boundary. Do not wait until the final answer and try to reconstruct what happened. Record the tool name, selection reason, input summary, confidence, and result while the call is happening. Those 4 rules keep agent as tool lightweight without making it invisible. Use this as your interview answer. Agent as tool is a lightweight delegation boundary. A coordinator calls a specialist through a typed interface, enforces a call budget, records why the call happened, and receives structured evidence. It is enough when specialists are independent and the merge is simple. It is not enough when the system needs long-running state, branch joins, human approval, or resume behavior. So the rule is, start with the smallest control surface that gives you routing, budgets, tests, and traces. Graduate to a graph only when the workflow proves it needs one.